Hey, what's up guys? So back in 2019, Viofo released the A119 V3, which is an excellent entry-level dash cam, and I've been a big fan of it ever since. And now here in 2022, we have the A119 Mini. And this new Mini version is a slightly smaller version of the A119 V3, plus some nice new features such as Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. And in this video, I want to take a closer look here at this new A119 Mini, and I want to answer two main questions. Number one, first off, what are the differences and improvements here with this newer version of the A119? And then number two, given that both dash cams are going to continue to be sold, the newer version is not replacing the previous version, should you save some cash by opting for the A119 V3, or does it make sense to spend the extra couple bucks to upgrade to the newer A119 Mini? So starting off, let's begin with some of the physical differences between the two dash cams. So over here on the left, we have the classic, the A119 V3, and over on the right, we have the newer A119 Mini. Now, how much smaller is the new Mini version? Well, if we take a look at the two dash cams here side by side, you'll notice that it is a little bit shorter top to bottom, and it's also a little bit thinner left to right as well. Surprisingly though, the A119 Mini on the right is actually thicker than the A119 V3, despite the fact that it has Mini in the name. And my guess is just that they needed the extra room to install the new Bluetooth chip and the new Wi-Fi chip to add some of the new features here that are available here in the newer camera. Both dash cams have the same style lens. It tilts up and down like this, so you can mount the dash cam itself here on the windshield and then tilt the lens to make sure that it's angled properly depending on the slope here of the windshield. Now both lenses here have the same f1.6 aperture, and both dash cams have the same 140-degree viewing angle. Then as far as the image sensor, both dash cams have the same Sony Starvis IMX335 image sensor, and both dash cams allow you to record at the same 2K or 2.5K resolutions depending on how you like to define that. And so overall, video quality should be pretty comparable here between the two dash cams. And speaking of under the hood stuff, the newer A119 Mini does have a newer version of the Novatech processor, which is going to allow it to support some of the additional features here that the new version adds. There's also been a couple changes made here to the GPS mount itself. So if we go ahead and pop off the mounts here for both dash cams, the first thing that I want to point out is the connector. On the previous model, we had a special 4-pin connector like this, which is going to allow you to do your power pass-through. So you plug in your power cable here, and it passes your power into the dash cam. Now on the newer model, it's actually a newer 5-pin connector, and this newer additional connector is going to allow you to get longer parking record times, and the way that it achieves that is going to allow the dash cam to actually turn off the GPS mount and not get power to it, but still allow the dash cam to be powered while you're parked. So without using the GPS feature while you're parked, you're going to be getting additional parking record times here with the newer version of the dash cam, which is really nice. You'll also notice here that the newer one actually uses USB Type-C instead of the older one, which uses mini USB, which is a welcome change. You'll also notice that the mount actually connects in a different direction. So with this one, the mount actually goes up and down, versus on the newer one, it actually goes side to side. How does that change things? Well, if you've got the dash cam actually mounted up, maybe by the headliner of your vehicle, with the previous model, you may run into issues if you're trying to actually slide the dash cam up like this, and it may bump into the headliner. Now with the newer dash cam, you can still mount it as high as you like, and the dash cam is now actually going to do the quick release direction moving over to the right like this to allow you to pop it off. Now you'll notice they've also changed where the memory card slot is. It's going to be over here on the right side of the dash cam compared to the previous model where it was over here on the left. And so with the newer dash cam, you're going to want to install it maybe on the right side of the rear view mirror. That way you still have access to the memory card slot here, and when you go to remove the dash cam, it's going to be moving away from the rear view mirror stem. Next, we can go ahead and power on both dash cams. And right away, you're going to notice a couple key differences. So first of all, there's a different screen size. The previous version uses a 2-inch LCD screen versus the newer one uses a smaller 1.5-inch display. And you definitely notice the difference. If you have maybe older eyes, it is going to be harder to use the newer LCD screen to do things like maybe change settings on the dash cam. Here, we'll go ahead and stop both and go into the menu here. So if you want to go and adjust some of the settings, they're going to be easier to see here on the newer one. Or if you just want to use the screen to maybe get the dash cam aimed or play back footage, it is going to be easier here with the newer dash cam. That said, the newer model does have some Wi-Fi capabilities here, and so you can actually use your phone to do a lot of the same stuff, which does help to offset the smaller screen and make the screen itself less important, but I'll get into the Wi-Fi stuff here in just a minute. Additionally, you'll notice that the button layout has been changed here as well. The biggest difference that I notice is it's now much easier to find the emergency record button here on the newer Dashcam. It's separate from all the other ones, and it's much easier to find just by reaching up from the bottom of the Dashcam when you're doing it maybe without looking at the Dashcam because you've still got your eyes on the road. One issue I had with the previous version is sometimes I would go over here to do the emergency record button, but sometimes I would accidentally press this button here to stop recording or that button to turn off the microphone. And so I like the fact that I could just maybe press this button without inadvertently pressing a different button. So that's a really nice change. Speaking of which, when it comes to maybe accidental button presses, you'll notice here in the previous one, the only kind of status LED was this one right here to start and stop recording. Now, I've got the audio turned off. We'll go ahead and turn the audio on real quick for this video. Now, in this situation, if I was to accidentally press the record button by mistake, it's going to start giving me this kind of beeping effect so I can hear that, whoops, I pressed the wrong button, plus the record LED will start blinking here. The beep is really helpful because, again, if you have the Dashcam mounted behind your rearview mirror where you can't see it, you're really going to be dependent on the audio. But the beeps are not always super clear as far as what the different beeps are. Now, with the newer Dashcam, when you go to use the emergency record feature, when you press the button like this, you'll see that same logo here on the screen, and you're going to get a voice notification too.
Video protected.
That's really handy to let you know that, yes, you definitely pushed the correct button. That's easier to tell than just maybe a series of beeps. Now, let's say you go to maybe press a different button, like, I don't know, stop recording. I have noticed that currently there's no audio that lets you know when you've turned it off, but when you go to turn it back on,
Recording started.
you do have that indication here. I'd love to see some additional voice notifications added for stopping recording, but the fact that we have voice notifications in the first place is really helpful. Additionally, let's say you go to do something like maybe accidentally or maybe on purpose turn off the microphone.
Voice recording disabled.
It'll actually say voice recording disabled. The speaker I've noticed in this Dashcam is kind of small and quiet. It works, but it's not going to be super loud. Something to be aware of maybe while you're driving. Now, if you have the microphone turned off, you're going to see up there's a little icon kind of crossed out for the microphone, and this blue LED is turned off here for the microphone.
Voice recording enabled.
We'll go ahead and turn it back on, and this blue LED is nice just to make it really quick and easy to verify that it's turned on. If you compare it to maybe the previous model, if you turn off the microphone, you get the beep. But that's it. And there's also no status LEDs to make it quick and easy to tell if the mic is still on or not. The only thing you really have is just that icon here at the top of the screen. And so I really like these additional status LEDs to make it easier to tell exactly what's going on with the Dashcam. Now, I know I've also mentioned that the LCD screen on the Dashcam is a little bit smaller, but you do have the Wi-Fi capabilities here, which does make it easier to go in and adjust the different Dashcam settings. That way, in case you don't want to use the small LCD screen on the back of the Dashcam to go and change some of the different settings, you're going to be able to do it with your phone. So let's go ahead and take a closer look here at the Wi-Fi capabilities next. So we're going to want to go ahead and turn on Wi-Fi here by pressing and holding the Wi-Fi button.
Wi-Fi enabled.
And it supports both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. 5 gigahertz is nice just because you get the faster file transfers. Now it's going to go ahead and turn it on, and you'll see right here on screen, it's going to show the SSID and password of the Dashcam, and then you can just connect to that hotspot here using your phone. Then once your phone connects to the Dashcam, you can bring the app back up and then just hit this connect camera button, and it's going to connect to the camera and give you a number of nice new features. First of all, you've got the ability to actually live stream exactly what's going on here with the Dashcam and seeing it right here on your phone screen. Second, if you pause the video, you're going to be able to go in and adjust the different settings. So if you want to adjust maybe the different resolution options of the Dashcam or the different frame rates that it supports, you can adjust all of that right here from the app. Additionally, if you want to adjust things like the WDR capabilities, or one thing that I find pretty useful is adjusting, maybe setting the time zone or synchronizing the clock. Instead of having to go into the Dashcam itself and press a bunch of different buttons and doing it manually, you can just sync it with your phone's time like this. This is going to be much more convenient. If you want to set any of the different parking mode recording options, you can do that, etc. And then last, if you want to access the different video files that have been stored and saved here on the Dashcam's memory card, you can come back over here into the app, and you can hit this button here in the corner, and it's going to go ahead and load all the video files that are saved in the Dashcam's memory card. And then you can just pick any one you want and start playing like this, and it's going to immediately start streaming directly to your phone, which is very convenient. If you then find a video clip that's important and you want to save it, you can just hit this button here on the top right to download, and it's going to go ahead and start copying that video file from the Dashcam's memory card over to your phone. And I like the fact that here with Wi-Fi, it's going to do this nice and quickly. Now, I tried doing this earlier and the experience was a little bit different. First, I had some issues actually live streaming video on my iPhone to where it wasn't actually able to stream any of the real-time video. Additionally, I also wasn't able to play back any videos that were stored in the memory card. Everything else was working fine, but just not some of the playback stuff. Now, if you encounter that as well, the trick to that is if you go over here to the iPhone settings option, then go over to cellular, and then scroll on down here on your phone until you find the option here for the Viofo app. You can just turn off cellular data for that app. Now, once you do that, you are going to be getting this warning prompt here in the app, but I have found that if you go through with this, then afterwards you are able to go in and play back video footage or download it directly to your phone. So just a quick heads up in case you run into that same issue as well. Now, I've also done a little bit of testing here with the Android version of the app too. And with this one, this seems to work just fine. So everything as far as your live streaming or adjusting all the different settings, streaming video footage, or maybe downloading that footage over to your phone, this seems to work great here over Wi-Fi. Now, the next new feature here, the A119 Mini, is the Bluetooth capabilities. And so it's now going to be able to integrate with some optional accessories such as the wireless Bluetooth remote. This is an optional accessory that you can purchase for the Dashcam, and it's something that I've been using for many years with a variety of different Viofos. I find it to be a very useful accessory. The general idea here is in case something important happens on the road and you want to save and protect that specific video clip, with the A119 Mini, you just press the emergency record button here on the bottom of the Dashcam. Now, depending on where you have the Dashcam installed, it may not be convenient to physically reach the button, and so you actually have now the option to have a secondary emergency record button that you can mount and install somewhere more convenient in your vehicle. And personally, I like having this big dedicated button that I can press for the emergency record because this button here might be kind of a little small or a little tough to reach, especially while you're focused on the road, you know? So I find it to be a useful accessory. Many Viofos previously support it, and now we have this capability here with the A119 Mini. Now, finally, the last thing that I want to talk about, and actually my biggest concern here with the Dashcam is actually the overheating issues that we've been seeing here with this initial batch of A119 Minis. For example, this past weekend I was out driving and it was in the low 90s or so, and I had my car parked for a couple hours or so with the Dashcam under the hot sun. Now, the Dashcam was able to record continuously while I was in parking mode, but then when I got back into the car, the Dashcam actually overheated and shut down on me and stopped recording. And in fact, if you take a look at the memory card itself, you'll actually see two different corrupted video files to where the Dashcam stopped recording and shut down and wasn't able to save those videos properly. Now, I'm not the only person who's been experiencing some overheating issues with these initial batches of A119 Minis. Retro Car Guy 530, in his review of the A119 Mini, he mentioned that in the review sample that Viofo sent him, just like they sent me, he was seeing some overheating issues with the Dashcam in parking mode. He then went out and purchased one online, and then he was experiencing some overheating issues with the second one as well in driving recording mode, which is what I've been experiencing. And in fact, he was running 4 different Dashcams at the time, and the A119 Mini was the only one that had the overheating issues. And so that's 3 Dashcams that I know of so far. I've also heard reports from others who haven't experienced this, so your mileage may vary. I've had a chance to talk to Viofo about this, and they said that it looks like to be a known issue with this initial batch of Dashcams, and they're saying that moving forward, they've actually done some additional optimizations to help address this overheating issue. Additionally, they've offered to replace my review unit with a retail unit, and I'd be happy to take them up on that, but our heat wave is kind of ending here in the Seattle area. And so I don't think it's something that I'm going to be able to test more, but something that I want to do because I do think it's an important issue. Down in the comment area, the very first comment, I'll have a pinned comment that'll keep you guys updated as new information comes in. So I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out to see if we can confirm that newer versions of the Dashcams that we're all buying actually have resolved this overheating issue, especially now that we're here in the summertime in the Northern Hemisphere. Whenever I do videos and I mention certain issues like this that should be addressed in the future, I know maybe 6 months down the line, I always see a bunch of comments of like, hey, Vortex, this is an older video. Is it still an issue? And so if you'd like to see the most up-to-date information that I have, just check the pinned comment at the very top of the comment area. And so then finally, just to summarize things as far as A119 V3 versus A119 Mini, which one should you get? I think for most people, the A119 V3 is still going to be the way to go. This Dashcam has been out for years and they've had plenty of time to fully refine it. The Dashcam has gotten better over the years and still to this day, it offers great video quality. It's got a nice compact form factor. It can record both driving and when parked. Plus it offers buffered parked recording, which is pretty rare for Dashcams at this price point. It's got a capacitor inside instead of a lithium-ion battery, which is better if you're driving around in high heat areas. And overall, I think for under $100, it's still, to this day, one of the best values that I've seen for your entry-level dash cams. Now, it's not a crazy fancy dash cam. There's no Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. It's a front-facing dash cam only. There's no rear-facing one. But for something that you can just stick on the windshield, it's one of the best that I've seen. I have seen some issues over the years of maybe certain firmware versions causing issues, or the GPS mounts may go down over the years. I've experienced that, but in general, it seems to be a pretty solid pick. Then what about maybe this newer version here of the A119 Mini? Well, when it comes to the Mini thing, I don't think the Mini aspect is really all that big of a deal. I mean, it's slightly smaller, but not in a dramatic or, in my opinion, all that meaningful way. Really, the biggest differences here that I see are the Wi-Fi capabilities. That can be really useful here with the dash cam. I know there's some issues with the iOS app, but there are some workarounds for that. On Android, currently, it seems to work better. There's also Bluetooth built in, which is not to pair with your phone, but to pair with that wireless optional emergency recording button that I talked about. And the voice notifications can also be very useful, too.
Memory card error. Please format the card.
It's a number of nice little improvements, basically taking the core of the A119 V3 and updating it with some of the newer features that they've added to some of their recent dash cams that have come out over the past couple years. Now, is it worth it to upgrade? I'm not convinced yet, primarily because of some of the overheating issues that we've been seeing here with these dash cams. But to be fair, it looks like this is something that Viofo is aware of and that they've actively been working on. And so, again, down in the comment area with the first pinned comment, I'll keep you guys updated as far as if we're able to confirm and verify over time that as far as future A119 Minis, this issue has indeed been resolved. And if it's been resolved, I would feel much more comfortable actually recommending it. But currently, based on what I've been seeing so far, I can't say that's the case yet. And so if it was up to me, I would still go for the A119 V3. Tried and true dash cam, still a great option. But assuming all this stuff does get nailed down in terms of overheating and reliability, and we also see some additional improvements here to the iOS app, I think at that point, it would make more sense to pick up the A119 Mini. And so down in the video description, I'm going to have links to both dash cams. Definitely take a look because I do notice that pricing varies. Sometimes there's coupons and discounts and all that kind of stuff. So definitely take a look there to see the latest pricing. And then all the different accessories that I mentioned too, you'll find those linked down in the video description as well. Thanks so much for watching. Hope this has been helpful, and I hope you guys are all doing great. Take care, drive safe, and I'll see you in the next video.